Hi guys, we are here with Meesha Moulton. Oh my gosh, I just drove by a billboard and her gorgeous self was on there. I'm like, oh my goodness, how amazing is this? Meesha was born and raised in Toronto, finished law school at Michigan State, named one of the top 100 civil plaintiff lawyers, oh my gosh, by the National Trial Lawyers Association, and one of the top 40 under 40 attorneys. How amazing is that? Jeez, and you moved in Vegas in 2014. Why Vegas?
So it's kind of a funny story. It's, everybody's always like, was there a particular reason you chose Vegas? And I was born in Toronto, which is very cold. And then
Right.
I went to law school in Michigan, and that's also really cold. And my last year in Michigan, we had this ice storm that kind of shut everything down for a few days. And
Oh gosh.
I think I just realized I was really over starting my car, shoveling snow, cleaning it off, and, just driving long distances. And you kind of have to hibernate for a few months out of the year. And I was like, I want to go somewhere warm. California was very expensive when you're coming out of school and you're a student. So it was kind of between Las Vegas and Phoenix for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Very interesting. And then Las Vegas was like, okay, more opportunities for my business.
I found it really fascinating that everything was so personal injury based when I moved out here. I just loved Vegas because of the life that it offered. I'm a huge foodie, so I'm always trying new restaurants.
Cool.
And I was like, you're never going to run out of things to do here. There's always some form of concert, which is another big thing that I love. And so that was kind of the main reason why I was like, let's go try Vegas out. There was really no real game plan.
Just give me, what is if you're a foodie, so what's your favorite restaurant?
So I don't know if I have like a particular favorite restaurant. It depends on the food. So it's like if you were to tell me, okay, Meesha, what's a good Greek
Italian.
food? Yeah, Italian. I love limoncello. That one's really good.
You know what? I'm actually going there in 2 weeks.
Really?
Yeah, we're going
I love that.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
So that one's
I'll let you know.
Yeah, it's a great local restaurant. And then I've been on this Greek food kick. So I've been
nice.
Yeah, there's this place called Naxos in Red Rock.
Okay, I've never been.
You have to go.
Naxos.
The food is amazing. I think I ate there like twice just last week. So ordered. Yeah.
Because I go to a Greek church and we do the Greek festival.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously surrounded by Greeks all the time. I eat a lot of Greek food, but I've never been to this one. I want to check it out.
Yeah, it's actually really good. I think we're so spoiled here. Like
you ain't lying.
We go anywhere else and you realize like there's, the selection is smaller depending on where you're at, but then also things close down a lot sooner too. I didn't realize that. I'm like, I never ever check when a restaurant's open here because you just assume everything's late, where it's like you go to California and everything's like shutting down at like 9:30.
What? Yeah.
So
we are spoiled.
Very.
Yeah.
There's always something new happening in town.
It's so true. Meesha's half Italian, and half Indian. Where should I eat for Indian food?
Indian food, there is an amazing restaurant called The Clove. And it's actually on like Rainbow 215 area. So it's right by my office, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
That's where I live, in that area too. Okay.
Yeah, so tried that one not too long ago. And it's actually one of our favorites. So we
very cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anytime. You just text me and be like, hey, where should I go?
I appreciate that because I'm kind of new still. So
really?
I've been here for 2 years almost. I'm still in the new phase because I don't really go out as much. So trying to figure out places and still making friends and. So,
always happy to recommend.
Yeah, thank you. You're such a sweetheart. I want to get into more business about like the whole, what motivated you to become a lawyer?
Yeah, so for me, I just always had such a huge interest in law. I grew up just kind of watching a lot of legal shows, and then I joined debate as early as middle school. And
Wow.
then, yeah, if you were to ask my parents, they would tell you that I basically had my mind made up from the time that I was like 8 years old that I wanted to be a lawyer and I wanted to help people. And then, they didn't really think that I was going to
Yeah.
stick to it, or maybe I would change my mind. But they're like, you never changed your mind one time.
So you're right.
And so it was just something that I was like really determined to do. I think with being an attorney, you have the ability to really affect change.
Yeah.
And truly make a difference. And, when I'm watching the news and I'm watching what's happening in current world events, it's like you have that ability to actually help and, do good and create change. And there's not a lot of professions that can say that.
So true. Yeah. And you're specialized in personal injury, immigration law too, right?
Yeah. So personal injury for me is something that I kind of just fell into because it was, such a big practice area. And then when I moved out here, my very first job was with a personal injury firm. And then so I started that job, waiting for my bar results. I was working as a legal assistant and then associate attorney to managing attorney, and then eventually became partner for my last 3 years there. So I learned a lot. I worked on a lot of catastrophic accidents, meaning just major, injuries, and I fell in love with it because you end up really being able to change people's lives, and then in some ways just restoring people's lives based on the kind of incident that they're in. The immigration thing is really new for me. That's really like within the last year. 6 months to a year is really when I started introducing it. I've always done immigration cases, for friends, family, myself. And it's really a passion project of mine because I hear so many horror stories of just people saying that their immigration attorney either took advantage of them and, billed them for a case that wasn't necessarily winnable, or these cases take years, and then sometimes these people disappear. So it's like 2, 3, 4 years down the road, they just stop answering their phone calls, and then the clients don't really know where to go.
Oh my.
So it's unfortunate because, these are people that are trying to do things the right way. And they're trying to go through the system and, legally immigrate over. And these are individuals that are just really looking for like that second chance at life. But majority of these people don't have, endless amounts of money. So it's, they're borrowing sometimes from family, or it's a life savings type situation. So I just felt like it was an area where I could really assist. And so I'm actually really excited about it.
That's really, really nice.
Thank you.
For you to do that. And I know you actually, I think you do pro bono stuff too. Do you? Or is that?
Yes, I do on the immigration side.
Is that where you actually?
So depending on the case, like if there's an asylum situation or something along those lines, or, just based on that particular individual's situation, I'll definitely review the case. And if I can assist, then I definitely will.
Wow. Yeah. That's impressive.
Thank you.
I mean, I had a question here, what's asking what separates you from your opponents, but at this point I'm like, come on. Besides her being gorgeous and amazing as a human being, I mean, seriously, wow. What is like the wildest, most unusual case you've ever dealt with? Like,
I think one of my cases right now that I'm currently working on is probably one of like my most saddest, difficult cases, where it's like it was a 3-month-old child that passed away in the accident.
Oh God.
Yeah, and I've become really close with the mother, and I think about that situation and just what the parents went through. They were pulled over to the side of the expressway and then rear-ended by a semi truck, and the car caught on fire with the child inside. Yeah. So, it's, you hear about car accidents, and some of them are, just your fender bender type of situations, or, it's like light to moderate damage on the vehicle, and then maybe, conservative therapy to get a person back to normal. But then you hear about these types of just horrific situations, and those ones are, they stick with you. So,
oh my God, I don't know. I don't think I could do your job.
yeah, it's there's attorneys that have a much harder time than I do. Like, I personally, I don't think I would be really good at being a criminal attorney, like criminal defense. Yeah, so I think that there's, but I've kind of always cut my teeth on these really, like I said, catastrophic type of accidents. So I'm used to seeing these really bad injuries, major surgeries, these cars that are just completely destroyed. And, but that one in particular, I think because it's a child, and, I have a daughter myself, and it's.
You do?
Yeah,
wow,
I do.
So young.
Yeah, so she's 6 years old.
She's 6 years old.
Yes, yeah.
I can't understand your age right now. I'm so confused. What?
Yeah. So
amazing.
Thank you. My one and only.
Oh, more to come?
No.
No. We'll edit that out.
Yeah, she's
your princess.
She is. She's my princess. Everyone always asks me, they're like, "Do you want more?" And I'm like, "No, I love being a mom. It's like one of my biggest accomplishments. Like, everything aside, I'm like, being her mom is like the coolest job that I have. But with everything else that I do, I'm like, I can't
How do you manage?
I can't go back to diapers. So,
oh my gosh.
Now she's like at that really fun age. Where we just went to Disney, and she like she's just seeing all of that through her eyes, and she talks, and she has like the most fun conversations with me. So I love it.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I'm enjoying all of this right now.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know how you would be able to. I can't. I don't have any kids, and I can't.
It's a really it's a big decision, because I think about it and I'm like, there's people that do it all the time that are like, having multiple kids, and they're very career oriented, and that's the power of women.
Yeah, very impressive.
Yeah, it is very impressive. I think for me, I just lived such a structured life, obviously getting through school. So your 20s is like, you're just dedicated to school, you're starting your career. And now in my 30s, I'm like, okay, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. She's getting a little bit older, and I'm like, I just want to, have the ability to like travel and have some fun, and
and she can actually
and
come and join you.
Exactly. We could go and explore the world, and
that's amazing. Successful. You have your own successful law firm, a daughter, and you still manage. What do you do when you're super overwhelmed and stressed out?
So for me, I would say, I was telling you, I'm a big foodie. I go out to eat, but music is really like a huge part of my life. So, and it's always been that way. So I love live music. I love concerts, and it's, my way of kind of escaping from everything. And then on a day-to-day basis, I wake up early. And I was always like a night owl. So, and then I don't know what happened in the last few years. I switched over to this waking up at like 5:30 in the morning. Oh. And now it's like I get really excited to see the sunrise. And then everyone's sleeping. So I feel like
quiet, and you have the time.
It's like, it's kind of like that me time. So I will work out during that time, or I will just enjoy my cup of coffee, So I think that's kind of how I de-stress. What you saw earlier today when you pulled into the parking lot, I wait in my car sometimes and I
Answer phone calls and
I have like 10-15 minutes before, like I show up early everywhere.
I saw that. I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I
So,
love her. I was like,
yeah.
because I never had a guest that arrived before me.
Really?
So I'm like, she's impressive. The fact that, I really like people that are early.
Yeah, I think showing up early is really important. And I think in general, like it just helps you be prepared more. Like I'm more relaxed. I know where I'm going. I'm just sitting there, I'm answering emails, and it's instead of rushing, Yeah.
Yeah, I would have thought you have served the military, because if you're not 15 minutes early in the military, then you're late. So I was like, my goodness, was she in the military at some point?
I wasn't familiar with that rule, but that's like basically how I do things. It's kind of funny that you mentioned that. I'm always like, okay, if I have to be somewhere at 4 o'clock, I'm like, I time everything to be there at like 3:40, 3:45. And because I'm like,
that time to mentally prepare.
What if there's traffic, there's anything. I like getting to a place and just having time to kind of, look around and then go in.
Yeah. And that says a lot about somebody, that basically, that shows me you're professional, very mature, because, a lot of people are just like, whatever, taking things seriously. Your image matters, and a lot of great things. And I'm very impressed.
Thank you.
Yeah. I actually, I want to go into more personal questions.
Sure.
The whole law thing, you got this.
Yes.
Besides the fact that, is there one last question, because this is actually one of the fans. I have a group, and I always ask questions in the group, and before I have a podcast episode, and I allow them to give me some questions, and now they became your fans, and they asked me to ask you.
Okay.
What attorney inspires you the most, and why?
What attorney inspires me the most? So for me, I look at other attorneys that are, more established than myself, and I look and see what they do in particular that works really well. I think I'm in this market that is really competitive and very, very cutthroat. And there's very few people that I've noticed that are willing to kind of help and help guide or mentor. It's very much, especially amongst some of the older generation or the more established generation. But I do like the fact that it's like with the up and coming attorneys that are, more my age and my experience. It's, we are all very very professional and very friendly with each other. Like we just all feel like there's, of course we're competitors and we have that competitive side to us, but there's this ability to still be able to help each other out and cheer each other on. Like for me, it's like when I see somebody doing well, I am excited for them, and I'm looking and seeing what they're doing well and how I could learn and how I can adapt. I'm not like, oh, well, they're doing better than me. I'm like, no, they're doing something right. So I don't know if there's like a particular attorney that I really can say I really look up to, but there's like, if I just even look at attorneys around town, I think that there's like things that I can take from each one that do a really good job. Like this one, potentially does really good advertising, or I like the way that they do.
The Batman. Batman is doing an advertising. Like, my goodness.
That's very effective for him. And so I think, it might not be for everyone, but it works. And I think that there's a niche, in every market. So
true.
Yeah. So I think, so to answer the question, there's not really like one in particular. I didn't really have like a specific mentor. I really had just kind of multiple people help shape me along the way.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love that answer. That is awesome, because you can always learn something from everyone. And that's, That's very nice. Huh.
Yeah.
Very, very good. And if you could not practice law anymore, what else would you do?
So for me, honestly, one of my dreams would to be traveling the world, doing anything related to human rights law. So it's still law, but let's say I take the legal aspect out of it. I would love to be able to do some kind of like humanitarian.
To help.
Yeah,
You have
it's
the heart for it, huh?
yeah. For me, I've been to places in the world like India, and I've gone to orphanages, and I grew up in Canada, and I feel so fortunate to be able to be a woman and be able to have the right to education and not even think twice about it, right? Like, I just think that there's so much that we take for granted. And you go to these other places in the world, and it kind of opens up your eyes to the fact that, they view it as such a major privilege that a lot of people they're not able to go to school, or they're not able to just have, access to the things that we have access to that we don't really think about. So I would love to be able to, kind of travel the world and be able to help in any kind of way. And I think about it all the time. I'm like, what would I do?
Yeah.
And
Wow.
and I think it's something that's a really real possibility for me. Like, I'm at that stage in my life where I'm hustling away, and I'm taking care of my daughter, and I'm making money, but I'm not money like motivated. Like, for me, it's just like I see makes me really happy to be able to pay my clients and do all of that. But I just want to make enough where I'm comfortable so I can go and hopefully do those types of endeavors in the future. So,
Wow.
yeah.
It's probably why you do have the success, because when you do it with all your heart, with good intentions, your heart is pure, you really just want to help.
Yeah.
Really, God is there for you. You will succeed even more.
For sure. I think, I'm a big believer of what you put out, you definitely get back. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow. What mystery or phenomenon would you love to solve or understand?
A mystery or a phenomenon?
For me, it's love.
Oh my God, when you figured that out. Actually, that is a really good one, because it's, I am a hopeless romantic. Everybody who knows me, yeah.
Me too.
I know. I still believe in all that fairy tale stuff, as logical and rational as I am. But I think it's important. I think it's like important to have that side of you. And, but we live in this world now where it's like, it kind of is like this weird phenomenon, And I look at like these old school relationships sometimes, and like this,
Oh my gosh.
yeah. And
how did they make it?
and I'm like, was I like was I born in the wrong generation? So it's like the power of social media, right? Social media has done so much good for for people like me, and it's really kind of opened up the doors to the rest of the world and made it smaller. But then there's also that negative side of it, where it's made it much smaller, and people just I don't know if that old school love and that loyalty, I think, is really the big thing, exists anymore.
Right.
That, like, I'm a very independent woman, and but I think in terms of like a relationship, I enjoy a traditional relationship where it's like, a man gets to be a man in a lot of ways. Yeah, to lead. Yeah. You know what I mean? Just and in a lot of ways, I think it's we've kind of gotten away from that.
Yeah. And probably in your case, I don't know, but maybe because you're so intelligent, also very intimidatingly beautiful, and you're successful. So they're probably like, oh, I can't I can't have that. Maybe they just have that like moment of, no, I can't go after her. I can't pursue her because she's all that. I really can't be everything for her. Or maybe they feel because you're so successful, emasculated, or maybe
Yeah.
eclipsed, or somehow they just they're intimidated. Could that be?
Yeah, I think I've heard all of the above. So,
Yeah.
and I think it's perception, right? Because it's like when you don't really know a person or you don't really have the ability to sit down with them and you just view them from like the advertising and you just see them on social media, it's like you just have this viewpoint of like what this person looks like and what their personality potentially could be. And the funny thing is me and my friends always joke around. I'm like, I don't think I could be more different than sometimes what my advertising is like. This is very like, it's very serious. It's very like, and it's very glam in a lot of ways. And I'm like, but for me, I'm like, I'm just, I'm kind of like a very outside of work, very laid back, just
I could see you goofy.
yeah,
Like goofing
very
around.
fun loving, just a person who really just enjoys life. And
Nice. Wow.
yeah, so I think that it takes the right type of person. And I think security is like the biggest thing. I think
Like a
someone
real
who's like,
man.
yeah, just someone who's like, just very, very secure in themselves. And because when you're secure in yourself, then you're not, you're more of like a supporting type than,
Right.
yeah, than a
Yeah.
jealous type.
Right.
So, yeah. Yeah.
Or-
So,
Oh, I gotta keep up with her, competitive type.
yeah, who wants that in a relationship,
Nah.
It's like, I don't want to compete with my partner. Like, I want to
Come on.
support you and I want you to support me. So
Yeah.
I've never understood that competitive aspect. But I know that when you are very career driven, that's one of the things you got to kind of watch out for is,
Yeah.
yeah. So
It's true. And I feel like a lot of men, they want that traditional woman, but it's so confusing. It's kind of one of those things like, okay, you want me to be successful. You want me to have a job because you don't want me to be broke and a dumbass to sit home and just do nothing with my life but cook and clean. But then you also want me to be traditional. I have, make babies, be a mother, have all these other things. But then you also want me to do things around the house. But if I have a strong personality, then I'm masculine. So it's like, wait. I could, be a sugar mama. I could do all these things on my own. But now that I'm giving you a chance, you're calling me masculine when I'm doing all these things? Like,
right.
who the heck understands these men? Like, what is it? Like,
It's a lot of contradictions.
Right.
Yeah, it's a lot of it's funny because it's like I obviously talk to my girlfriends all the time and they'll be like, like you said, they want like a very traditional aspect, but like that traditional aspect in the past used to come with the male being the provider.
Right.
And so if you want the stay-at-home wife and you want, your 3-4 kids, then you have to be able to afford to keep her at home and afford those 3-4 kids. And if you want that 50-50 relationship, then I think, she goes to work, like you go to work, and then you guys come home and you guys both contribute to the household. But like you can't mix and match.
You can't have it all.
Yeah, you can't have it all. It's just like, there's just some things where it's like it wouldn't work. And so you got to kind of decide. I think it's like it's all about, compromise. Like what's the most important thing to you?
Exactly.
And then you kind of decide what kind of relationship you want. And then there's people out there that want, some people are okay with the 50-50. Some people are okay with the traditional aspect.
Yeah.
And it's just, finding
the right
situation, not trying the whole square peg in a round hole, Yeah. So,
come on.
Yeah.
So that's why it's good to communicate. Like just lay all the cards, like right away. this is who I am. This is what I want to do. This is where I can compromise. This is what I'm not going to be all straight up.
Yeah, I
Right.
think that's probably another thing that people have a hard time with these days is just communication.
Opening up.
Yeah, communication. And, I think it's to an extent, it's because everybody's been through their fair share of, I'm sure, some kind of situations that require them to have a wall up, and then they need to take time and trust somebody and bring those down. And
It's true.
it's like that kind of goes back to that whole loyalty, betrayal, that aspect. I'm sure everyone's kind of been through their version of it. So, and then, it's just this whole ghosting thing in our generation.
Oh my gosh.
It's like, yeah, you hear all these nightmare stories of people just, having what they think is a progressing relationship, and then it just kind of ends out of nowhere. So
Yeah.
I think there's, I learn a lot. I learn a lot just by talking to a lot of my friends.
Talking about the ghosting part. What's up with that? I'm hearing so many people. I have a huge problem with ghosting. You keep wondering what happened? What did I do? Did I say something? It just drives you nuts, and it's so disrespectful.
Yeah.
Why do people do that? What do you think?
I can say I'm lucky enough where I haven't experienced it firsthand, but I have other, close people to me that have. And I think it's just people afraid to communicate, and people afraid to communicate their feelings.
How old are we though?
I but that's I feel like that's the generation that we're kind of in, and we've made it acceptable, and it's just because everything now moves very quickly. It's everything's very fast paced. It's you meet people through technology, you communicate through technology, and then it's you just get rid of people through technology. And it's I think the old school way is okay, yeah, I'm going to run into this person probably. The world was much smaller before, and I owe them a conversation, or, I should just let them know how I feel. And now it's well, I'm probably never going to run into this person.
Because they're,
Yeah. And, I'll never have to see them. So if I just stop responding to my messages, or if I just, go this direction, then I can just avoid this conflict altogether. So I think it's a little bit of a combination of things. I agree. I think it's very disrespectful. I think it really takes very minimal effort. So, some of my friends' favorite terms, it's that bare minimum, right? That bare minimum effort. And some people don't even match you there. So,
dang.
Yeah.
Can you even forgive somebody? Say somebody ghosted you for a month and a half, and then they call you, and can you even forgive that person?
Me personally, absolutely not. No.
Yeah. It's no, you could literally spit in my face if that were to be,
they would have had to have gotten kidnapped, and there would have to be some major explanation.
Yeah.
So just found themselves in a remote desert somewhere for days at a time with no reception.
Or what was that movie, Castaway?
Right. Yeah. Something like that. It'd be okay, I can, but anything other than that, I just don't think
you've been alive all this time and you just didn't have the decency to just text.
Yeah. And why, why a month and a half later? So it's for me, I'm one of those people where it's I would be digging into the psychology of the situation, and I'm this is just not worth it.
It's not worth the energy. Wow.
No, it's definitely not.
Oh my gosh.
What I the advice that I always give is when someone wants to pursue something,
right?
And they're when somebody's matching your energy and your effort, And I think that, kind of similar to what I was saying before, what you put out is what you get back. And if what you're putting out is not being reciprocated, and it's, you are willing to be vulnerable and go all in, and the other person's not, then it's probably just not for you. And I think that's when,
you
So,
stop
easier
wasting
said than
time.
done, I understand.
Right.
Right. But I think it's, just you just know that what your standards are and what you're willing to deal with. And what I always say is, for me, it's like, I'm not asking for anything that I'm not willing to give myself. So yeah.
What are your expectations? Like your ideal man? What is it that you are asking?
Well, I'm in a relationship right now.
Okay,
So and for me, it's, ideal is someone who's supportive, someone who shows up for you, that you feel safe and protected with, someone who is kind, and, and then I have like my own little personal things where I'm like, I want someone who's like, funny and enjoys, those, enjoys traveling, enjoys, is very open-minded. Like for me, I'm a very open-minded person. I love new experiences, and, just someone who's open to all of that. And I think that's like really a big part of it. And then just someone who's also driven, doing their thing.
Not clingy.
I don't mind a little bit of clingy, because it's like, I think that's like that romantic side of me. But I think like it's in the sense of like, just somebody who has their own life. I think in previous situations, I've realized that I probably let go of, family or friendships, or, kind of put those to the background. And then I kind of learned, I'm like, no, like these are people that, I love and care about, and I need to make time for them as much as I'm making time for my relationship, because you can get lost in it.
It's true.
And I think with, just where I'm at now in life, I'm like, you can have a very healthy relationship where you guys, are in love and make time for each other and do a lot together. But then you can also have time for your family and your friends and your work, and have your own life. And it's perfectly okay to have a little bit of separation, and then you come together and have your life together.
That actually does help.
Yeah.
When you have some time apart.
Some healthy time apart, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think as long as there's like a trust, then
and respect,
and respect, then that works out really well.
Yeah. Better take that than wait till it just goes south, and then you can't really repair anything. You might as well just let's have some time apart. Let's figure this out.
Yeah, I think sometimes people realize a little too late that they lost themselves in this situation. It almost like it almost requires them to take a step away from the relationship for them to realize that. So, and I think if you're like more aware of it as you're in it,
right?
Yeah,
just the way.
But that also takes us like a good partner. That also takes like the other person allowing you to have that space.
True.
Because there's a difference between clingy and smothering.
Right.
You can,
It's true.
somebody who's a little clingy requires attention or requires some kind of reassurance. Like, I think there's nothing wrong with that versus somebody who just,
right,
doesn't really want you to have like an identity outside of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
the possessive psycho type. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. We're too old for that.
No, nobody has time for that. No. My goodness. If you could have a deep conversation with any historical figure, fictional character, celebrity, whomever, who would it be?
So for me, I love art and I love poetry. And so I love trying to, understand. And I think that's why I'm so into music, especially like the lyrical side of everything. So I would say, like, from an artist perspective, like, historically, probably like Leonardo da Vinci. And then from like a poet perspective, I love understanding why people take like a dark perspective to things. So I'd say Edgar Allan Poe.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? Very interesting.
Yeah. So
How about musicians, since we're talking about being
musicians, I grew up on rock and roll,
Oh,
and I'm still very much like that's like my go-to music. I listen to a little bit of everything now, but I grew up on rock, and my boyfriend has me listening to a little bit of country. So,
cool.
and it's newer, newer country.
Yeah, I'm getting into it this year too.
Yeah, it's good. And but I would love to be able to, have a conversation with like a Kurt Cobain or a Lane Staley, from, and then just I love like MTV Unplugged. During the 90s, I was a child at
I grew up on MTV. Yeah.
and you had these like raw performances of just emotion and no auto tune or anything like that. And so I would probably say musician wise, one of those two. Yeah.
Kurt Cobain, that was my dude back in the day.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. Wow. What was this is a deeper question. I mean, to me. What life event has shaped you the most?
So, I think for me, I have had a couple of different life events. I am generally a person who's like never really taken anything for granted, like just kind of throughout my whole life. I'm very like, I joke around all the time. I'm like, I wake up very annoyingly happy.
That's awesome.
But then I've had, situations where I think it was like back in like 2016 or 2017, I got really sick, lost my health. And I had, I got to a point where I'm like generally a small person, and I dropped 15 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
And it was very difficult for me to like walk through a Target at that time. And I really thought that I'm going to the doctors, I'm getting all this like different testing and everything done. I'm like trying to figure out like what's wrong with me. And at this time I'm an attorney. So I'm like, trying to still progress forward with my career, because you can't really, let off the gas, and then trying to also, make sure I'm not dying.
Oh my God.
So, it took about six or 7 months for me to finally come across like a neurologist who did some testing and found out that I had Lyme disease. And and I had no idea. I don't even like, I knew nothing about it.
Oh God.
And he was just like, have you gotten tested for this? And I'm like, no, but might as well throw it in there. I'm trying to figure this out, and I've gotten tested for everything. And then it took me probably about a year to like fully regain my health. I had to really just take a step back and,
oh my God.
yeah. And it was like, at that time, it was just, I had so many different symptoms, and I just felt like I went to sleep one day and I woke up the next day, and it just like life had kind of completely changed. So I feel like that is something where when, I have people who are like, why would you ever want to work out at 5 o'clock in the morning? And I'm like, because there was a period in my life where I couldn't. And, I will take any opportunity to go on like a 5-mile walk or a hike now. And because, I've gone through a period in my life where that wasn't possible. And so I think, that's a big driving factor for me of life can change like almost instantly.
Yes.
And you just never know when that might happen. I think, another big major event for me, like in the last year and a half, was my dad passing away. And he was like my biggest supporter and, my biggest fan. And he passed away unexpectedly at 59 with a cardiac
Oh my
arrest.
gosh.
So, and I think,
Oh my God.
and he had his retirement paperwork on the countertop because he would have been eligible for retirement at 60. And my parents have always been the type of people that would push everything off into the future. Like, we're going to enjoy this when this happens, or we're going to go here and travel here when this happens. And, and sometimes you just realize like you don't ever get to that point, right? So I think that I really try to live my fullest life on a daily basis. And that's through my work and just, being able to go on an adventure, spend time with my daughter, people that I love. And so I would say really it's like these like little reminders that I've had in the last like 5-6 years of just life is kind of unexpected.
Man.
And so I would say, those are probably like more recent. And then, I'm sure there was things in my past that just kind of like drove me to just be like very determined. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
And strong.
Yeah.
Strong cookie.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. And you look great. So I think
No, I'm very at this point I'm
good now.
I've been healthy for years now.
Thank God. Yeah. That's
I take it very seriously too. So it's like, I'm never like on like a strict regimen or diet or anything like that, but I do, eat really well and not really one to drink a whole lot I just keep all of that kind of in the back of my mind. So
just
yeah.
Wow, careful with all the. That's very inspiring, though.
Thank you. Yeah.
To live your life to the fullest every day. What about on a? I guess you already said that, so I'm not gonna the partner thing. We discussed about your ideal partner, your boyfriend or husband, whatever he is. If you could snoop through one person's private life, whose would it be?
I am actually so bad at that because if I'm really honest with you, I just don't care enough.
Really?
I just don't. Like, I'm like, I feel like, I get a little dose of celebrity news here and there. And then it's like, I'm like more of like a headline reader. Like, okay, this person is, dating this person or this person's moved on here. But I just like when people kind of like idolize like these like celebrities and, it's like when I see people like get very emotional about it, I'm like, I just don't like, it just doesn't move my needle. Like, no, like for me, my family will be like the first ones to say, they're like, you just don't care about gossip or anything. I'm like, no, I'm like, I will not really ever have any gossip to tell you. Because when I leave a situation, it's usually like in one ear, out the other. And so I guess, of course I have conversations with my like friends and I get updated on their lives and everything, but I'm never like the type to ask further questions and like try to dig deep. I just, take whatever information I receive and I'm like, okay. And so I don't really think I would, I can't think of a single person I would really,
dig into.
Yeah. I just,
Interesting.
I know. Weird. I think about that. I'm like, is there something wrong with me?
No, but that's pretty good. Yeah, I don't like celebrities like that. I mean, Anthony Hopkins, I would totally love to have him on my podcast. If I could interview Anthony Hopkins, he's awesome.
He's amazing.
I love him.
Yeah,
certain people. But I wouldn't treat them. I remember we were in Capri, me and my sister, and we were in the club, and Mariah Carey is like literally where we are,
right?
Maybe even closer.
Yeah.
And I just turned my back on her, and I told my sister, "I'm not going to give her the satisfaction." My sister's like, "She's Mariah Carey. What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
Like they're just they're people. I don't see them. You know how everybody's like, oh my gosh, and then they would faint when they would see Michael Jackson. I don't have that. Like, nobody's gonna make me faint. Maybe
Yeah.
Jesus, yeah, but
Yeah. No, there's yeah, and especially like, like you said, they're people. And
seriously,
I'm a very private person with my life too. So I think generally like I respect other people's privacy because it's like even, we live in this world where it's like we share or we're expected to share all aspects of our life. And, I have friends that are really good at doing that. And I think, yeah, and I think it's honestly amazing. Like if you have the ability to be vulnerable and put everything out there for the world to see, I think that's great. I just don't fit in that category.
yeah.
For me, I like, I think it's like protecting my peace. And I think that I very selective with what I share. So,
Smart.
yeah.
And somehow I feel like the smartest way to have a relationship is not putting it out there for haters to be jealous or envy about. I wouldn't share my relationship, my marriage, my none of that on social media.
Yeah, I've been like that basically always. Like I don't really ever, put it out there. And then when you do put it out there, it's just like you have to put every aspect out there, right? So I think like what happens sometimes is like celebrities will break up and they'll be like, please respect our privacy. And I'm like, but the problem is your whole relationship has been public. So now it's like people, they feel like they're owed an explanation as to they've gone on this ride with you guys. So it's
All right.
so you kind of have to just, I guess, pick and choose what you want to share and why, why it's important for you to share.
To share, exactly. Oh my gosh. What does true love mean to you?
I think true love for me is when you are not selfish and when you show up for each other in any and all situations where that person requires your support. And it's like that unconditional love where you feel like you can pick up the phone and call your person and they will be there and you don't ever have to doubt it and you don't have to think twice. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think that to me is true love. Yeah.
We can count on them to
Yeah, you can count on
have your back.
Yeah, I think it's if you have the ability to have that person where it's like anything could be happening at any time and you just know that you can send a text or a call and they obviously care about your well-being. They want to make sure that you're okay and they show up for you. I think that's really yeah. And I wish it wasn't as rare as it is.
I know, yeah.
But it is very rare. And I think what, people have a hard time being looking at another person's interest or putting that person before yourself. And I think like in a relationship and true love, you have to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So
if both of you think of the other first, then
yeah, and of course, and that doesn't mean like, let yourself go in the process. But I'm just saying there's like moments where it's like you have to be able to prioritize your partner. And then it's honestly probably like a good way of figuring out, do I have that ability to prioritize someone else? Am I fully emotionally available to be able to provide that to someone? So, but I think that's really what, love comes down to is just someone who is unconditionally there for you and has your back.
I love it.
Yeah.
The words of wisdom here. Oh my gosh.
So,
Two more questions.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh, what's your greatest fear and how do you manage it?
I think my greatest fear is, not being able to like I said, waking up one day and not being able to do what I love to do. Like
Helping
I feel like
people.
Yeah, for me, I feel like I'm so, grateful to be in this position where it's like I get to affect change, wake up. I work for myself now and, I'm being able to build this practice. And then I have a lot of younger women that will message me, or, you know, when I meet them, they'll tell me like, oh, like it's very inspiring, or like, I want to go to law school, or I want to do this. Or I'll have other people tell me like, oh, you're, you know, one of the first like advertising women lawyers that we've seen. And I'm like, you know, I'm definitely not the first. There's been many successful ones, but it's just, I think it's like, I'm just making this push as much as possible to try to make it not so rare. You know, I would love in 10, 15 years from now to see as many women as there are men on, you know, these billboards and wherever. And
That's awesome.
And so my biggest fear would be not being able to, you know, for some reason, like I said, just not being able to do that. Yeah.
I would totally see you as a mayor or governor. Have you ever thought about that?
You know, I don't know how good I'd be at politics, but I have had people tell me like, okay, you know, maybe you'd be good at that. But I'm like,
why not? You have the heart for it, the right heart.
Yeah. I've never really considered it, to be honest. I don't, maybe.
Well, we're talking about down the line.
Like,
yeah, 10, 20
years into the future, you know.
Yeah.
So if I'm
that would be
on this side of the world, so
I hope you are.
Yeah, I mean, you know, this is home for me, so I can't picture myself going, honestly, anywhere else. I
mean, warmer, maybe Hawaii?
No.
Island fever.
I love the desert heat. Like for me, I don't really like the humidity.
Oh my gosh, I get migraines. I suffer from chronic migraines. So when I go anywhere humid, it's a wrap.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, oh, I'm not leaving.
I have allergies here that I never had anywhere else.
Here, you do? Really?
But everything else is great, honestly. Like I feel great out here. I love, I can't complain about the weather. I never check the weather, you know?
Because it's always, but how do you manage to get such hydrated hair? Because I'm jealous. Because in this dry weather, your hair is so pretty and hydrated. What do you do?
I use like hair oil. Okay. And then I go to my girl. I'm like one of those people who like finds a person and then I stick with them. I'm like, you're stuck with me now.
That's good. Yeah.
Forever. And so she actually blow dries my hair twice a week. And she's just, I go to her, and so she uses all, you know, like
no curling iron, none of that.
Oh no, she'll do it, but like I feel like she does it in a way where it just holds. So I'm like not waking up every day applying more heat to it. And then she's obviously probably, you know, using her professional products. And so it works out great. It's like, you know, an hour twice a week. And then
it's worth it.
It's worth it. I sit there and...
Do we want to promote her or...
Yeah, her name is Vanessa. So she has her own salon called Honeybee Glam. She's amazing. You can find her on Instagram. And then Lindsay Ann, who works at J. Rua, she does my hair color. So, and both girls I've known for years. Yeah. So,
yes, I am with you on the stick with those whomever your people when it comes to the specific. Yeah.
So I have help to answer your question.
Well, we all do. we need. I stick with Dina. There's a girl that I go to, and I have to say, the dryness, and she thanks to her. Otherwise, I would be a train wreck. But yours is even more hydrated.
Try a hair oil. I think it'll it'll work really well for you. Whether that's like just on a regular basis,
argan oil.
Your hair is that works great. And then you can also just put a hair oil mask or something like that on before you wash your hair.
Very nice. Beauty tips. You have a morning routine besides working out in the morning?
I mean, I don't have one that I do every day, but like I am trying to like incorporate a lot of like the red light stuff and all of that into my life. And then I'm huge on the skincare thing. Like it's just, any. I don't really ever skip that aspect of
What's
my
the brand?
morning.
Or
And I have different, like, so I've got like a 5-6 step, and then they're all different.
nice.
You know, because somebody will make a great toner, and then some person will make like a great moisturizer. And so my whole thing is like, if I can not wear makeup, you know,
I know,
and just
right?
have
Oh, that would be
nice
ideal.
skin is like, that's like, you know, that's the goal. So,
That is
yeah,
so important.
yeah.
Oh gosh, yeah, I'm with you on that. How do you define happiness, and have you found it?
You know, that's a tough question. I think happiness is really, you know, it's probably means something different to every single person. But to me, it's really the ability to wake up and be motivated and be able to actually image myself doing certain things and being like, you know what, I want to try this, or I want to do this, and then actually being able to wake up and do it. And or, you know, similar to like if there's a place that I want to see, or and then actually just going for it. And I think that's
Achieving.
like, you know, I think that's pretty much how I've gotten to this point in terms of my career. I was like, I just kind of went for it. I'm not much of an overthinker. I'm just like, I think about it and I'm like, all right, let's do it. What's the worst that can happen?
Right.
And because I think that sometimes people will overthink themselves out of their dreams.
Yes.
And so, and there is such thing as too much planning. And yeah, so
You missed the train.
right, exactly. So I think it's really just for me, it's like that ability to just to image it and then, you know, wake up and do it. And I would say, you know, I'm a very happy person because I've worked really hard to be happy. And I continue to work at it every day. I think it's in a lot of ways, you know, life puts you through like circumstances that you don't have a lot of control over, but there's a lot that is in our control. And so I think if you focus on that aspect of it, then you can also,
Achieve.
you know, yeah, move forward and be happy as well. So yeah. Of course, life is not perfect, but we're all, you know, we're all working on little bits and pieces of it every day. So
Yeah, you will life, yeah, will get punched. You just have to know how to manage
yeah,
that.
manage to just, you
Yeah.
know, get back up. And that's really, it's like how you deal with adversity is like really the
Right.
biggest thing. Yeah.
And I love the whole just go for it. You have that drive and
Yeah. Yeah. I think
don't
that
wait around.
when it's like when people ask me about like, okay, what advice would you give for, you know, somebody who's starting their career? And
That was my next question.
yeah.
Oh my God.
So I think, you know, what I would tell someone is don't doubt yourself. You know, just other people are going to do that for you enough. And so you have to be your biggest supporter and you just have to go for it. And even if you fail or you have to, you know, take a different direction and like, you know, a detour of some sort, like at the end of the day, it's like the bigger regret is not trying at all. So yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. I guess those were the last words of wisdom. Everything is like so much wisdom here. Thank you for your time and
Yeah,
amazing words of wisdom. We'll definitely have to
appreciate
keep in touch.
I will for sure.
My goodness, how amazing is this? Meesha was born and raised in Toronto, finished law school